banter. Balls and banter. No excuses, just win, win, win with your balls and banter. We got balls, we got pucks, we got sticks, we got everything in between. We got balls and banter.
All right, folks, it's Tuesday. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to the show. Damn glad to be with you. Zach in studio, Jonathan hitting the keys. Tommy Boy is here. Nate is out today. Gentlemen, how are we on this fine, hot as balls in Florida Tuesday?
Doing well, Drew. I like your shirt. I feel like you're getting ready to put on the headset and a clipboard and a whistle and go out and start going through some drills with some young new prospects.
It is that time. It is that time. I do. Maybe that's what differentiates the show. There's a lot of shows that do the same thing. Rather than having this mic in my in-ears, I just go to a straight, single-sided headset with the mic, and that's what I talk to people on. Always leaning in, like really, I don't know.
Yeah,
Something.
Leaning in and like putting the play sheet over your mouth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to cut to commercial. We're gonna, I don't know. I kind of like the idea, actually.
I can see it, yeah.
I think it's something we can explore. Jackson Koiven, I think that's how you say his name. He's like 14 years old. Won the 3M Open this weekend in a battle with Scotty Scheffler. Good for him. Young man getting his first ever career victory on the tour. That's pretty awesome. And we're going to pivot from golf right into something near and dear to Tommy Boy's heart. Because here's how the week started at UNC. You've got pictures everywhere of Michael Lombardi, like this one, popping up. And the headline accompanying said picture saying that the University of North Carolina has placed general manager Michael Lombardi on paid administrative leave. By the end of the day, it looked like this. Here's what we knew. Let's put up the next graphic, because now we've got Bill and Lombardi standing there. UNC's football team is being investigated by the College Sports Commission, the entity that handles compliance and enforcement of NCAA and NIL rules. This comes on the heels of the program's football GM Michael Lombardi being placed on paid administrative leave by the university on Monday morning following a human resources complaint filed by a former football front office employee. So things getting a little dicey in Chapel Hill, one might say. And I think this is a really this whole UNC conversation has been interesting from the onset. Obviously, there's a lot of people that wanted Belichick to come in last year. There's a lot of people who didn't. That didn't seem to matter. But he was there. And like a lot of us said, like going back to it, not that I wanted UNC to succeed. I had a vested friendship and interest in it succeeding, in fact. And you certainly did. But it just didn't seem like the right hire. There was all this excitement. That first night against TCU, they moved down the field. They're like, son of a bitch, like UNC's going to do it. And then that game, what was the final, like 41-7?
Dude, there were people leaving after the first quarter. I was at that game.
It was so bad. So bad, and the rest of the year went that way. They finished 4-8, near the bottom of the pack in the ACC. Now, you come in mid-cycle, all that with the NIL and the transfer portal these days, it's different. Sometimes it's hard to play catch-up. Bill's not necessarily the guy that's going to be exciting with young recruits. For some, because he's won Super Bowls, but in terms of coach-to-player relationship. Anyways, fast forward. They go and hire Mike Lombardi to be their GM. Keep in mind, they're giving Belichick $10 million a year. They're giving Lombardi, or they were, technically still are, $1.5 million a year to do a job that he's never been good at for UNC. And Danny Cannell brought this up, former Florida State quarterback, ESPN analyst and radio host. And I think it's a good point because he's like, imagine if, and you can be pro Mac Brown or anti Mac Brown, whatever, but imagine if you'd given the resources to Mac Brown that they gave Bill Belichick in this program in the past 12 to 16 months. It would have been a different story. Same thing could be true for you pick a young upstart coach who's had some success, who's great at recruiting, knows the college football landscape, which changes every 30 seconds, how this could have gone. I mean, because Mac had some success there. He's the winningest coach in UNC history. He had 2 different stints. He had success there, but they decided to move on from him. We're done. And they do this, and it just hasn't gone well. And last thing, and then I'll shut up for a second and let you guys talk. And Tommy, I know you've got probably a lot to say. But keep this in mind for Lombardi. They're in trouble now. What exactly happened? No one is heard, to my understanding, but it's not looking good for the program. Now you've got a scandal on top of it. And this guy, as I was saying earlier, he was a player personnel person under Belichick in Cleveland. That stint didn't go well for either of them. He came back for 1 year as the GM in Cleveland later in like 2013. Was only there 1 year, then out. Ended up landing on his feet doing television stuff. But this is a guy who's not succeeded in this role at the professional level, who was brought in because he's Billy Boy's buddy to do it here. He's not been involved in college athletics since the 1980s. Like, it was just a terrible hire. Like, the whole thing, top to bottom, I think this whole experiment was terrible. That's not to say that Belichick is not a legend in coaching, particularly at the NFL level. Still an absolute shame that he's not a first-time Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, that's categorically absurd. But this just never felt right, and now it seems like it's about to get way worse than it even was.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's going to get even worse. But there are a lot of things at play. And first of all, the hiring process for Belichick was done by the Board of Regents, and by one person in particular by the name of John Pryor, who has now subsequently resigned from that position and is out of it because I think he realized what a colossal fuck up he was and how everything just went to shit. And then you bring in Bill, and then you bring in Lombardi, and I'm usually really good about digging into people and finding patterns. And for some reason, I chose not to do it with Lombardi. And over the weekend, I started digging in probably the way that I should have back when this first started, just so I had some sort of baseline, some sort of reference for him. And the guy's a fraud. Everything about him is a fraud. His career is a fraud. His book is a fraud. He reminds me a lot of Stephen A. Smith. Everything, and there's a little like smattering of Obama in the way that he talks about himself.
Way to tie lots of people in there. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, and it goes back to his time with San Francisco in his autobiography. And he was an assistant to like the scouts, where he had nothing to do with the coaching staff and the player personnel at San Francisco and the 49ers in their, in that Super Bowl run. I believe it was in 89 or so, or it was the late 80s. But you would think that he had a lot to do with it. And it's that kind of fraudulence that he's led his career with. And then when you're talking about, his ill-fated time in Cleveland, where he was assistant, where he first befriended Belichick, and then all of a sudden he ends up in some capacity with the Patriots, and then leaves and I can't remember what year it was, like 2015, maybe 2014, but he's shown the door in that summer in like July, like right around this time, July, and then the Patriots go on and win a Super Bowl, and somehow he gets like one of those rings like the family members get from a Super Bowl and like sports that, and that like counts that as far as like his Super Bowl championships. So going into this he at least for myself in retrospect didn't have the best reputation. The more that I dig into it, the more a lot of other conversations I was privy to and kind of, just peripheral to, but didn't really understand the context and kind of kick myself now for not digging in a little bit more, are all kind of, they're all coming into focus now. Now, as far as what happened with him in this complaint that was filed, I'm not sure. I don't know, but there's a lot of red flags to me, at least with like everything that's going on within that dynamic and the people who are associated within the football program, that nothing would surprise me as far as any kind of behavior goes. And I'm not talking like, some sort of harassment, but just, just not being nice. I could see that taking place because when he and Bill came in to Chapel Hill, they did something that was kind of strange where they made the football part of the stadium and the athletic complex off limits to everybody. So there was no more traffic coming in. There was only, if you had any dealings with football, that's where you went in. Any other sport, any other athlete from any other sport, you had no access to that side of the building. So that kind of security measures that you take, I just don't think it doesn't help for transparency. Now, Danny Cannell, and I think that all just, establishes some kind of a culture that you don't have to play by the rules by everybody else. So that kind of leads to where we are with this allegation that's coming in. Now, Danny Cannell's, take on Mac Brown, I disagree with him. I think that Mac was at the end of his career. I think that it was a mistake, of course, going with Belichick. I think the whole hiring process was a sham. And I also think that with Mac, Mac wasn't on board with NIL. Mac is more of an old school coach.
He's like Dabo. He refused it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you had with Mac. And I think a lot of people in the athletic department were like, all right, we need somebody like we had talked about before, like a Ryan Silverfield, somebody, who's an up and coming coach who's had success at other places. And it has a better idea of NIL and also generationally, the players that are coming up now are so far removed from the generations of the Mac Browns of the world and the type of athlete that he's used to coaching. It's awfully tough to have that same kind of mindset when you're dealing with athletes who don't have any frame of reference for that mindset. Like Bear Bryant could never coach in this day and age. As much as, we would love the fact, get these kids, whip these kids into shape and, show them a little bit. That would never fly. It just wouldn't. And I think, Mac is representative of that type of coach. Great first time, great guy. I have nothing bad to say about Mac. I just think that his style just is not the style of what we see now with coaching and especially with NIL. And I don't think there was any way for him, Mac, to be able to adapt to that. So I think Danny's a bit wrong on that assessment. But I do think where I do agree with him is if it would have been a different coach with a different GM and, a bigger focus on, okay, what do we have and what do we need to make things better, where this whole situation was just kind of dumped in and like, okay, bitches, this is what we're doing. You guys have no idea. I've got 7 Super Bowls and here we go. And when you pile on somebody like Lombardi, who's got zero, and I mean zero experience of player personnel when it comes to at the levels that he claimed, he does have some experience, in the NFL, of course. But as far as success goes, he has no track record, none whatsoever, absolutely zero. So eventually, a con man's going to get caught, and in this situation, the con man has been caught, and we'll see what this investigation unfolds.
Well, I think you're spot on, and I agree. Like Mac was at the end of his time, much like Dabo. Not that Dabo's adapting some at Clemson, but he doesn't love the portal NIL, which I get. But that's the world we live in, so you don't really get a choice in this conversation. Like it's just this is where we're going. More on that in a couple minutes. But I think you could have picked someone else. We talked about Ryan, who by the way, Hope has a lot of success. New head coach at the University of Arkansas. Great job. Tough conference. Hardest schedule in the entire country this year. It would have been a lot easier to make that money and have a little bit of lower expectations at Chapel Hill than where he is there. I hope he crushes it there. He's a great dude. I think he's going to do well, but that's a hard position. But coming back to this, you couldn't have done it. And if you're Bill, not only did UNC handle this wrong, but if you're Bill, you go from being, granted with some scandals, but like legendary Hall of Fame coach, maybe not first ballot, which is bullshit, but you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. And now you're tarnishing your legacy. I'm not saying it will be completely tarnished, but you're starting to wear on it a little bit as you do this because your team sucks. Like you were poised you should have gone the opposite direction and it went a different direction. I think the whole thing is going to blow up and be an ugly thing. By the way, Jordan Hudson pregnant. Just kidding. She's not. I don't think that's true. But I never saw this working. This is not me trying to be right. Tom and I talked when this process was happening. Again, key thing here, Board of Regents, which is not just a UNC thing, it's happening all over, made the decision here. Not the athletic director, not people close to the football program, someone totally different. Terrible decision making. It's blowing up in their face. Did you ever think Bill Belichick was going to work at UNC?
No, I didn't. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. You guys already touched on it. The NFL and college are completely different sports. Obviously it's all football, but the way the game behind the scenes is played, completely different. With that, college football is changing every single year, and yeah, some of these guys, they just can't keep up with some of those changes, right? So I didn't think it would work. Quite honestly, to kind of go back to the Harbaugh thing in Michigan, I didn't think that would work actually, because I really do. I believe it's two completely different sports. If you're a good coach in one league with a lot of legacy, I don't know. I'm kind of the mindset to stay there.
Yeah, but we had Connor Stallions, baby.
So, it's just one of those things. Stay. I don't know. He probably should have stayed in his lane.
Hey, just retire. Go get yourself a Jordan Hudson.
Right.
Have some fun on a yacht, not like Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel, like within the context of a relationship that is just you guys. Have some fun. Retire. Like you killed it, bro.
Well, Zach brings up a good point. I had my sort of misgivings about Harbaugh going to Michigan, but then once I saw him there, it all started to click for me. There's certain people to just enjoy coaching, and Harbaugh is one of those guys. To me, he's an outlier. He likes being around the players. He loves everything about football. He loves everything. He likes to know, the type of fertilizer that's put on the grass. He likes to know, what height the mower deck is set at to cut the grass. It just everything about it he just absolutely loves.
He'd sleep at recruits' houses. Like, thanks for dinner. Can I sleep over?
Right. So to me, he is an outlier because that's how that's the passion that he has for the game and also the people that play the game. Where you have somebody like Bill who is, to me, does have a passion for the game, but is more on the professional side of things, where you recruit people who you're paying, or you get people you're paying X amount of dollars for, and that's their job to show up, and then you tell them what to do. It's not the same as college, where you're getting somebody who's 19, 20, 21 years old who doesn't know really anything about life and trying to, impress upon them a few things, even though in this day and age, you're treating them a little bit more like an employee than you would have in the past. But you still have to have that kind of nurturing side of you that Harbaugh has. And Belichick just isn't equipped that way.
Well, Belichick is, you always hear the comparison in coaching, and it can be in any sport, certainly in football. You're either transformational or you're transactional. And Belichick comes off very transactional. I want to win. I want these rings. Doesn't mean that he doesn't get along with some of his players. I'm not saying that. Obviously, there's a lot of players who would stand up for him. But it's to your point. It's that transactional nature. Like, you're here to win. I'm here to win. Let's go do it. As opposed to someone who's like, I'm also here to win, but I also want to make you a better person and instill discipline and character and all these things into you. And it's a pretty distinct difference between the two when you see it. And you can see it in the program. You can see it in the product that comes out of the program and the kids that come out of the different programs. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. If they don't have a remarkable turnaround this year, I think Belichick's done. I think you've got to pull the cord because the Jordan Hudson thing, good for you, Bill. You're putting it in someone a lot younger. That's great. But you went 4-8.
Right.
And now you've got this scandal. And even though UNC has not traditionally been a football school, but they've been creeping in the right direction, and the expectations are now, you look at on the heels of what Indiana did, everyone expects that they can go be the next Indiana now. That hurts Bill Belichick and the UNC football program, because just because you went 4-8 last year doesn't mean that people don't expect you to go 9-3 or 10-2 this year.
I mean, even if you go 6-6, is that really considered a win?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think 8-4 is the lowest. If I'm that school who and they actually would listen to somebody, because there was people talking to them who they didn't listen to. But if I'm that school, 8-4 is like, we're still going to sit down and talk about this. Let's look at roster retention. Let's look at how recruiting's going. Let's look at where these scandals landed. And maybe there's a chance that we take another run and try and get to 10-2, 11-1 next year, which is going to be tough in the ACC. Even though the ACC is not the Big Ten SEC, it's still really damn good football. Anything south of 8-4, bye, bitch, you're gone. Go be an analyst somewhere, like you're still going to make money, but we've got to move on, because UNC still can get this thing turned around. But the longer you delay it, it just hurts everyone involved. So.
Right. And, the way that the world is going, all of a sudden, the scientists in Switzerland are going to turn CERN back on, and then we're going to see, we're going to see Carolina at 10-2 at the end of the year, and Lombardi's going to be hailed as some sort of genius.
I hope not. I won't. I don't mind if I want UNC to do well. I don't mind if Bill does well. To me, Lombardi's such a fail. You just suck, bro. You don't get any credit. Speaking of athletic personnel, Michigan's athletic director Ward Manuel, we've talked about. We told you last week he's out at the end of this year, calendar year. December's his last month. And Tom brought up a great point. That likely means they're waiting to get someone that they think they can get to start in that time frame. Early, late this year, early 2027. But I'm telling you, never before have I thought I would say these words, but you see over the last several years, these coaches getting fired. Players, like Tua getting released and sent to the Falcons, going to make whatever it is, $99 million for the next few years from the Dolphins, who he doesn't play for anymore. It's never been a greater time, my friends, to be fired, abandoned, and kicked off the ship. It sounds so backwards, but in sports, that's the way it goes. And the same thing is true for Ward Manuel. So his buyout, his little goodbye tour, which is going to extend from now until the end of the year, includes, look at this shit right here. His separation agreement with Michigan affords him a $7 million lump sum payment, golf privileges, football tickets to the big house. That's a big deal. $82,000 in attorney's fees covered, and more. In exchange, his personnel file will reflect that he voluntarily resigned in December. That's amazing, bro. I'm glad that they're moving on from Ward. We've had some great championships, some great things happen. We've had some less than great things happen under Ward. That can be said for any institution. But, dude, what a package.
Yeah.
We're going to give you $7 million. Golf for life. Michigan football tickets for life. People would murder people for. We'll cover your attorney's fees. I don't think whoever his attorney is. I mean, part of that's just Michigan saying, we'll just do this, just make it go away. But whoever helped him broker that deal, I want to know you. That's a hell of a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, what a way to get fired. And I mean, imagine, he goes home to his wife, and he's got to go, hey, I'm fired, but
we're buying an island.
Right, exactly.
Not that bad.
No, not at all.
Crazy. Well, what can I say? Good for you, Ward.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a package. It's not the best firing package we've seen in the last few years, but in terms, like, we've seen head coaches get paid a ton, the Tua example, all these examples. But athletic director, that's pretty damn good. I don't like putting this next jersey on the screen. I'm just going to be honest. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm kind of itching in my skin doing it. But in the day of corporate money, NIL money, all this stuff coming into college football, which is changing faster than anything on the planet, this deal right here is crazy. Keep in mind, the Big 12, as a conference, signed a $20 million Monster Energy deal, divvied out among all the teams. There's more than 12 teams in the Big 12, for those not paying attention anymore. We don't change the names of conferences. We just add more teams. So that ends up being like, I think it's a little over $1 million a team. Ohio State just signed a deal with J.P. Morgan Chase for a jersey patch for all of their teams, including football. And I hate this because I don't like commercialized uniforms. I don't want football to look like NASCAR, and I love NASCAR, but that's NASCAR. That's what NASCAR does. But, bro, this deal. So here's the patch on their jersey as an example. You can see it in the upper left of your screen, upper right shoulder of the. So we've got the jersey of Satan incarnate on the screen, who just signed their deal alone. Keep in mind, again, I just told you $20 million for the entire Big 12 Conference Monster Energy deal. Ohio State's J.P. Morgan Chase deal, $17 million, most of which will go to football. The rich get richer, and I do not want a patch on the Michigan uniform, which is perfect. Michigan, Notre Dame, several others. I would argue Ohio State belongs in that category too, should not have any kind of corporate branding on there. But I tell you what, it's kind of like when my oldest brother, we all had 3 kids at one point, and then he announced that they were having their 4th. I'm like, well, let's go, honey. Let's go home. The party's over. We're not losing this. I don't like Ohio State having $17 million more in addition to what they already have dollars available to dish out to get great talent.
Right.
That's a big freaking deal. That's a lot of money. $17 million. I mean, literally, okay, so that's more money, not just than the Big 12. Forget the Big 12 deal for a second, because that shows some correlation and shows how staggering it is. It's more than pretty much every NBA jersey patch deal outside of the LA Lakers, the New York Knicks, and the Golden State Warriors. Like unless you're like some of the marquee teams in the NBA, Ohio State just obliterated them. They play 82 games, by the way. College football plays 12. Yeah. Maybe 16 if you go all the way. That's a crazy stat.
Yeah, when you compare it to the NBA teams, that really puts it into perspective, because that is crazy. And like you said, 82 games versus 12. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, or maybe is NBA 82 or 84? I think they're 82 and NHL's 84, right?
Yeah, the NHL just went to 84, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they're, whatever, 80-plus games.
Well, now I'm curious because, the NHL just started doing some of the jersey patches, especially on some of those teams that probably, like you said, with Ohio State, shouldn't have the patch on their jersey. Now I'm curious to see what some of those numbers are. There's no way it's close to 17 million.
I don't think, I love the NHL. The NHL can't hold a candle, I don't think, to college football.
Not at all.
I mean, the NFL rules, college football is just racing towards it. I was listening to a Kyle Whittingham interview, new head coach, Kay Whitty, up in Ann Arbor, going to do great things. He was talking to Rich Eisen, talking about this, and he was like, look, I don't like it, but we need to get to this, employee state where there's contracts and all of the collective bargains and all that stuff, because that's just basically where we are anyway. So we've got to get some rules in place. But he was talking about that, and he was just talking about how much money's there, and he was talking about how it needs to be basically seen as, an NFL minor league. And that's true, because you are the development thing. You still get players drafted from that to go to the NFL. But in terms of the monetary value, the NFL is still king. But it almost seems weird calling it the minor leagues, because you've got players who are refusing to go out early. They used to be like, I had a hell of a junior year. Yeah. I'm not going in the draft early. I'm staying here because it's great to be the king on this campus, and I'm getting paid $5 million to stay. Like, I don't know that minor league is the right way to describe it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess you could. The case is still there for the minor league, even though you're making $5 million or whatever it is, and you're starting and everything is good. I think that comparison still holds up a little bit, but I think as the years go by, it's going to be harder to keep that comparison going. But what I find fascinating about this whole Ohio State Chase Bank is the amount what kind of research went into it with Chase Bank, because they just didn't arbitrarily say, oh, I'm an Ohio State fan, let's go ahead and give them money, Jamie Dimon, whoever it is. Maybe he is, I don't know, but you would think that if you're going to make that type of investment, Ohio State would have to be really high. They would have to be at the peak as far as like brand recognition goes, the amount of sales with jerseys or whatever to make it beneficial for Chase to do something like this. So I'm fascinated about the process that went into that from a Chase and marketing perspective of why they would choose Ohio State.
Right. Well, and my understanding too, at least in these early days of putting, there's a lot of teams. I say a lot. There's really not that many, but there's a decent chunk of teams putting merch or branding on their uniforms this year. The jersey sales don't come with that. You go to the Ohio State bookstore, like you're not buying a Ohio State, scarlet jersey with the JP Morgan Chase on. Like they don't, like that's not on there. Like you get a clean.
Right. Yeah, no, but what I meant was, Chase wouldn't necessarily be selling their logo, but the amount of merchandise that Ohio State, is selling would be indicative them of, this by the amount of jersey sales, would show you in some way the amount of fans that you have, not only by, who's going to the stadium or who's watching on TV, but how much merch is sold, worldwide or, nationwide. To weigh into, okay, they're selling more.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So
then I guess to Tom's point, I mean, who's gonna be next? What team would you see next with the bigger deal?
I'm telling you right now, I'm speculating, but there's been a lot of schools. Let's take Michigan, just some of the others that fit in that category. Michigan, USC, Alabama, Notre Dame. I'm just picking 4.
Yep.
Blue bloods that are up there that have classic uniforms. USC and Notre Dame don't even put last names on the uniforms. Penn State, you could put them in there too.
Yep.
Even though they went to Adidas, so clearly they've sold their soul to the devil. But all of them are like, we're never doing that. Just like the Packers talking about, we need more money. We're realizing we need more money to keep up with some of the other teams, but we're not going to sell the naming rights to Lambeau Field. You should not do that. But they're finding other ways to sell it. I guarantee you, when Ohio State inked this deal, a lot of those other schools that I just mentioned were like, well, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
If we can command $15 to $20 million on just one deal, let alone everything else we're doing with our collectives and NIL, all of a sudden you're not stressed when you have to go out and get a Bryce Underwood and spend a lot of money to get him, and you put a lot of your pot into one player. You're just like, who do we want? We want everyone. Okay, go get everyone. Like that's a different thing. I hope it doesn't happen. I do not want to see particularly the schools that like stand out to me. It's a personal thing for you. Everyone else will have something different to say about this. I don't want to see Michigan and Notre Dame. First of all, they need to renew the rivalry. Well, the rivalry's there, but they need to renew the playing the game. I don't want to ever see those two schools have freaking branding on their uniform. Like, that's ridiculous. But if everyone else does it, then I want $30 million to put a patch on the Michigan uniform, and we'll go out and just keep bringing those people in.
Right.
It's a crazy-ass time. Crazy-ass time for – if you're a small school, like you could see – I'm being facetious here – but you could see, like, Maryland's like, well, shit. And Maryland's not a small school, but a school who's struggling athletically. Sorry, you've got terrible colors to work with. It's not my problem. It's your problem. It's not my fault. but you all of a sudden you've got a black, yellow, and red uniform with 13 patches. Like, some schools are going to go the NASCAR route. They're going to be like, well,
no more last names. It's just the.
And the funny thing is when who do I want to pick on? When Bowling Green goes all in on it and they get 10 patches, those 10 patches are still, it's going to be like, we have 10 patches now, so we're doing well. I mean, like 12,000 a year. Like, I mean, we're like, they're going to be small, like Moe's dry cleaning, a massage parlor. I don't know.
Here's my prediction.
Okay.
Within the next 2 years, we're going to see Texas Tech with Buc-ee's on their jersey.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
Why Texas Tech? Is that where they're from?
Well, but I don't know. But I feel like with the amount of money that Texas Tech has been able to put into their program, I think eventually, you know, the alums are going to be tapped out and you're going to have to go somewhere else. And I'm just.
Why not like Exxon or Chevron or something?
Yeah, but I think Buc-ee's is one of those. If you can land Buc-ee's and you're a college team, that's the way to go.
Right.
Okay. I like it. I mean, I like it. Okay, here's my only last gripe on this. If you're going to do branding, which it seems is an inevitability at this point, just make it consistent with the colors, meaning, you know, like JP Morgan Chase puts, which is their but like it's white with other white patches and white Nike swooshes on the Ohio State uniform. Still terrible. You know, if there's something on Michigan, it could be whatever. Name the brand. It could be Oracle. It's got to fit the color scheme. It's got to be not disruptive, not a patch that has. It shouldn't look like a bowl patch when you're in a bowl game or a college football playoff game. It should be just consistent with the uniform. Everyone just relax, keep calm.
So you wouldn't like it if it was like Frito-Lay on the Michigan uniform.
You're getting me in danger territory at that point. So bad. And whatever. Let's move on. Real quick, we're not going to hit on this because we're already so far behind. Stanford football players have established the first chapter of the College Football Players Association. This is the post. You can look at it. Ross Dellinger from Yahoo put up an article or shared an article, gets into explaining a little bit about that, because we are getting to this point where there's going to be a collective bargaining agreement and unions and all that stuff. It is coming, some of which is necessary, some of which is probably overkill. You know, the delineation between those is in the details. Again, I will just say this. As we get into all of this stuff, just whatever you do not strip away college football from us on Xbox and PlayStation. Northwestern totally fucked that up years ago, and we finally have it back. Just leave that. If it takes putting patches on uniforms, fine. Don't take that from us.
I think that's why they're doing the CBA. I mean, they saw $17 million. I want a piece of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I tell you what, to Harbaugh and some of them, I'm just using Harbaugh as an example because we brought him up today, not because of the Michigan connection, but he and several like him have pushed, like, give these kids what they're worth. We're all making a ton. I see the money that comes through. Like, give them a share. Speaking of lots of money in college football, Texas A&M, big college football town. College Station, Kyle Field, Aggies fans, you know, they're male yellers, little suspect, but like I like most of what they're doing. Tom, your buddy has access to, what are they called again? The cockaboo. What are the train things?
Oh, my buddy Joe. Yeah, he is part owner of a cockaboose.
Yeah, cockaboose. So South Carolina, outside of their stadium, has these cockabooses where you can tailgate. They're air conditioned like train cars, TVs, this, that, and the other. Cool concept. Works for the Gamecock theme. Right there, you know, you tailgate and watch. You have the comfort of being inside or out, and internet and television, yada, yada, yada. And then you go into the game, you know, shit-faced, and you watch and you cheer, and hopefully you win. Hopefully Shane Beamer. I like Shane Beamer, by the way. I hope that he does well there. Texas A&M, we've turned the audio off on this because it had some licensed music that we can't use. But these are new game day suites that you can, I presume, buy and then probably rent out. And you'll see some just mock-ups. These are just renderings. But you got the turf field in between, a nice. It reminds me of there's a thing called Wheelhouse here in Jacksonville that a buddy of mine is a part of, and they sell out these things where you can like mod out kind of like this, but then also park luxury like cars in there. But some people don't park cars; they just do crazy things. Same kind of setup though, where it's just super elite, super nice. You can see where food trucks are going to pull up. Like, can you imagine spending that kind of money? Because those are not whatever we just saw on screen. However you describe that is not cheap. Can you imagine having that kind of money to be like, we're season ticket holders, we're boosters, and we're also owners of one of these game day suites. Not game day suites in the stadium. This piece of real estate that's, I don't know, a lot of money. I don't even know how to guess what that number is. But those look badass. I do. If there's anyone in the crowd who's a big Aggies fan who has the moolah to go get one of those, we will come do a show live from your suite. It will be awesome. Those are pretty sweet. I mean, that's where the game's going. Like, that's how big college football is, where you can build communities like this and charge people out the ass to buy it and or rent it out, whatever they do with it. Wild, crazy.
Right. And people are going to pay for it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pay for the exclusivity. I mean, take this model and then also take air travel. You've got your lounges. Drew, you're a big fan of the lounges.
I do love the lounge.
You have the exclusivity of the lounge before you get on the flight, and then you take it a step beyond that, where you have these exclusive lounges that also gives you a shuttle service to your plane. So when it comes to air travel, we're almost to the point where we've maxed out on how exclusive you can make air travel for people who've got lots of money. So, we've always had private air travel, but over the last 5 years, that seems to be growing even further and further, higher up with more private planes, more private plane companies that don't force you to buy the plane, but have access to their fleet of airplanes. And so to me, this just, it falls in line with that business model of selling exclusivity. So I am positive 100% that if you have one of those, you're not walking with the crowd to the stadium. You're not going to be, if you've got the money and the wherewithal to have a place like that, you're not going to be strolling in next to a guy who's been drinking since 9 a.m. and has A&M written on his bare, sweaty chest. That's not happening.
No, you're going from a catered, air-conditioned event on a security shuttle to an elevator to a catered, air-conditioned event in a suite in the stadium. And I want to be with you. I want to be with you. I want to be your friend, which sounds. It sounds exactly like it sounds. Bring us along. That's college. By the end of the day today, but now we're now in the present. We're in the future. We're in all those things. All 32 NFL teams are now reported. They're now in training camp. God has shined his light down upon us, and we are returning to greatness, and it's freaking awesome. Next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, Hall of Fame game. I know we always pick on it. I always pick on it, but it's going to be there. We should watch it. Carolina, Arizona, terrible game. No one's going to play in it. Still sit down, have some beers, have some wings, watch it. As we get into all that, there's some moves happening today. The first one that popped was kind of interesting. Minnesota Vikings signing Jamal Adams. You can see that here on your screen. And this is an interesting dude. So he came into the league as a defensive back. Has had some injury issues, but has also been an all-pro. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. And he gets used everywhere. So last year, he was in Vegas. You can see him in the Raiders uniform there. Last year, he's there. and he started, I think, 16 of 17 games, something like that. He played most of the year, but he played linebacker, so he's been moved all over the place. I mean, you look at the just the breakdown. Let me pull it back up because I moved on to a different page. He played left edge 38 snaps, right edge 28 snaps, which depending on your scheme is either a defensive end or an outside linebacker. He played inside linebacker 254 snaps. He played slot corner 124 snaps, wide corner twice, and he took 2 snaps at safety. So pretty wild. And here's why I think this is really interesting. So Harrison Smith may or may not come back in Minnesota. Legendary future Hall of Famer, strong safety. He may come back mid-season. Like he's been very coy about it. He's earned it. We'll see. There's other great players there. But Brian Flores is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, if not the best defense coordinator in the league. And he likes having hybrid players like this. Josh Metellus has been playing this role for the Vikings now for a bit. But you take someone, if I'm Jamal Adams, you take someone who's capable of moving around. By the way, it's been announced today that he's going to wear number 54, a linebacker number. So he's listed as a linebacker, even though he can play corner, he can play safety. Good athlete. That's a good system for him to be in. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, I have a vested interest. I'm covering this up. I'm not a homer. I am. I have a very deep vested interest in figuring out how this is going to work. But I think he'll be a good addition for the Vikings. Could say front seven or his secondary. All of it. He's going to be kind of all over the field. So interesting move there. Pro Bowl defensive tackle Vita Vea. Tampa's having some trouble right now getting people locked down. They've had contract extension talks with Baker, which have gone nowhere. And as I heard before the show started today, they're going to end those talks and just let him play the final year on his contract and then let him be a free agent and deal with the negotiations after the season so there's no distractions during. Maybe it plays out that way. Maybe it doesn't. Vita Vea's been in a similar situation where he's been wanting this. They couldn't get there. And now he's just like, I'm out. I'm done. He's asked for a trade request to leave the Buccaneers and go elsewhere. Now, is that positioning? Does he actually want to leave? Is he trying to use that as another piece of leverage? Don't know. Don't know him. Don't know his agent. Certainly that could be the case, but he wants out. So interesting moves. There's some other ones. The Eagles, man, freaking signing their D tackle to the biggest defensive tackle deal in the history of the league today. Vikings also signing right tackle Brian O'Neill to the I think it was a 4 or 5 year extension. So things happening, training camp happening, extensions happening. All that's going on. Also, Madden is about to come out next month, and every year they drop the 99 rating club, the people who get the top rating in the game, 99. And this is who made it. 6 players start, at least with the initial drop, with the 99 rating. Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Myles Garrett, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jamar Chase, and Arizona Cardinals tight end Trey McBride. Good player. I'm a little surprised by that, but good player. I'm surprised. So does anyone here think anyone on this list should not be on there? And then who's someone who should be rated 99 in Madden for EA Sports? I'll start. And this is a homer pick, but I do. If you're going to put Jackson Smith and Jigma, JSN's a stud. So is Jamar Chase. I don't know why Justin Jefferson's not up there. He's an absolute stud. He's an absolute beast. I think Matthew Stafford has earned it. Freaking legend. Josh Allen, because of his I like most of these picks. I don't really have a problem with these picks. And I guess you could make the argument there's a lot of people, but I'll let you guys weigh in and see if you have any thoughts.
I don't know if I have any ideas for who would be on the list. That jumps right out of my head. Maybe I'll have one in a little bit. But yeah, kind of like you, the Trey McBride one surprised me. I guess I have to look into him a little bit more and see where he earned that. The Matthew Stafford one's cool to see. 99. Yeah, I don't know. But like you said, he earned it. He deserves it at this point in his career. He's done phenomenal the past couple of years. So yeah, I think that's what I have.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, I don't know, man. Lists always kind of drive me a little bit crazy because it comes down to, stats and like really nerding out on the whole stats and everything, when it comes to coming up with these lists. I don't really have a problem with this list. My list, when it comes to the players that I really enjoy watching, always have those intangible qualities, like the weird sort of quirkiness of their character, their ambition, and like overall like drive to win. I know these guys have a drive to win and everything, but it just, to me, they're in compiling a list, they're these like sort of X factors that I look at.
So you and let's just say what you want to say. You want a long snapper on this list.
I do.
Yeah.
And that's never going to happen. And so until that happens, I'm going to reserve my right to feel either here nor there about it, and dig into things that I'm really good at, like trying to figure out what happened to Kyle Shanahan.
Well, that's an interesting story. We should maybe dig into that on Thursday.
Oh, I've got the yarn and the timeline set up in my hotel room.
Okay, perfect.
Oh,
well, we'll get the camera turned around to show your wall. That'll be good.
That'll just be his background.
Yeah. Who needs the balls and banter backdrop? Right. Yeah, just it's more fitting for Tom. Let's skip to this last one and then come back, Jonathan.
Oh, actually, one more thing.
Okay.
Speaking of San Francisco, have you noticed since they've, started their workouts, how many players have been injured at the workout facility?
Yeah, I know. There's so much going on, but I don't know what to feel. Here's the thing. I like John Lynch, who's the general manager there. He's an actual general manager, not like Mike Lombardi. I like him. I like the organization as a whole, too. I don't have a problem with him. It is very suspect where their facilities are located and what is located right next to their facilities, as are the statistics related to injuries. How that all crosses over, I don't really know. I just don't know what to make of it. But I won't go as far as you will go with it. Like, I have concerns with it, and then the storylines and the numbers of personnel that are going through stuff. I'll just say this: it doesn't help their cause.
Right.
But then John Lynch comes out and says, "We did this investigation. We did this and the other," which of course he's going to say he's the paid general manager. He's a mouthpiece for them as well as handling personnel issues. I don't know. I don't know. Your point is well taken. Balls and Banter is not going to take a definitive stance on the 49ers facility, but we will encourage you to look into it a little bit.
Do your own research.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like everything else. CERN, flat Earth, the ice wall, the tall whites that inhabit Antarctica.
Keep going. Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. All of those things. Elijah Bieniemy, the 27-year-old son of Chiefs offense coordinator Eric Bieniemy, has been arrested. You maybe saw this after allegedly shooting his mother Mia multiple times Sunday in Ashburn, my old hometown. Not hometown, but my old town. I lived there. She's apparently stabilized and still in the hospital, but in stable condition. Police in Loudoun County, Virginia, confirmed that a woman was being treated for serious injuries from multiple gunshot wounds, but did not disclose her identity at first. We now know that's who it is. Elijah Zion Bieniemy, 27 years old, was arrested and charged with malicious wounding, use of a firearm in commission of a felony, and discharge of a firearm inside a dwelling, which that, by the way, shouldn't be illegal. Like, if you want to shoot guns in your house, like, go ahead. We can't actually legally say that, but that's how I feel. But crazy turn of events. Eric flew back home, obviously training camp going. He flew back home to be with his wife as he should. Family above football. Not many things above football, but certainly family is. Crazy story. Some of these kids, it doesn't look like the most, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Oh, yes, you can. That kid's got serious issues.
But I think you can in this case. Like, he just
100%.
does not. Like, if you're willing to shoot your mother
multiple times, bro.
Right.
Yeah. Like, golly. Like, first of all, prayers for Mia and for Eric, that they get through. This is a you don't want anything bad to happen to your family. You certainly don't want your own family to cause the bad things that are happening to you. Who shot you? Our son. Oh, and they probably knew by the looks of him. And that's not by the way, a racist judgment. It's the crazy look in his eyes and that everything else that's going on there. But just a terrible situation. Situation. Not how you want to start training camp to get that phone call. So we'll see what comes of that. I mean, you see lots of these stories. Rob Reiner, his kid. That's the only example that comes to my head right now. I say lots of examples, but there have been lots of these different examples over the years. And now you've got this Bieniemy, a coach who's been on the rise, had some interesting opportunities, been in consideration for a lot of head coaching jobs at different points, is interviewed. We'll see what happens. At least she's in stable condition. That's the positive thing.
Right. And it didn't take 11 days for them to release information about it.
Like the other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're being told, oh, yeah, Shanahan was holding a cell phone and that dude, he almost lost an eye. He got 40 stitches. He smashed to smithereens. And it's like, yeah, we're not going to quite talk about this just yet until we can kind of figure out, what we're going to do.
I'm telling you, bro, you just never know with stories and with people. I thought I knew someone else here pretty recently, pretty well. I'm not going to go into it online. I'll tell you about it, Tom, offline. But holy crap, people can surprise you. It's like, oh, that's who you are. That's great. I let my guard down. My old intelligence officer Drew would have figured that out. Civilian, yeah, not so much. Yeah. Okay, last thing we're going to touch on. Training camp is upon us. It's here. Like I said earlier, all 32 teams are in there. There are other position battles obviously happening in training camp. That's the point of training camp, getting ready for the season, getting prep scheming, preparing for that first game, not just the preseason game, your first game. But there's also position battles happening. People, trying to win that starting job. Quarterback obviously comes to mind as such a featured position, a key critical position for any team. And we've got 5 pretty interesting quarterback battles going into training camp this year. We've talked about some of them, but let's throw this graphic up and just talk about it for a second, because probably the biggest one, not because I'm a Vikings fan, is the Vikings quarterback competition. Kyler Murray brought in on a 1-year deal, Arizona paying him 36 some odd million dollars, Minnesota only paying him $1 million. Obviously he's electric. He's got a good arm. He's not very tall, but that's never hindered him too much. He's a great athlete. He's quick, but he's had injury problems. Some people wondering how committed he is, yada yada yada. Whatever. It's all hearsay. Then you got J.J. McCarthy, who had if you look at the whole year as an entire picture, looks terrible. You look at him down the stretch in the final 5-6 weeks, is starting to look pretty good. That's a really interesting battle. That one's going on. I'm just going to cruise through these and we'll come back and talk about them. In Atlanta, you got Tua, who's getting paid an ass ton. He's literally buying a new yacht every week just on what the Dolphins are paying him. He's taking on Michael Penix Jr., 2 southpaws going at it there in Atlanta. I don't love the situation for them either way that comes out, but we'll come back to that. Las Vegas, you got Fernando Mendoza, who, of course, is the number 1 overall pick. Kirk Cousins brought in. Clint Kubiak, the offense coordinator, who Kirk has played under. You've got that happening. It's less of a competition. Likely it is a competition, but that's one to kind of keep your eye on, not just for week 1, but throughout the year. Then Arizona. This is a fascinating story to me. Jacoby Brissett, they finally reached an agreement. He finally reports to camp. They plussed him up to 15, I think it was $15.5 million on a 1-year deal. He went 1-11 as a starter last year. He's, I think, 20-45 as a starter in his entire career. And yet he was able to position himself where he's like, nope, I'm not taking what you're giving me. I want more. Fascinating. I think he's a great number 2. He's a great quarterback to have in your room. The fact that they lost out on that negotiating deal is fascinating to me. But he's likely going to do it. But they've got Gardner Minshew, who they brought in. Rookie Carson Beck out of Miami, who likely should sit, although he's gotten a lot of reps because Jacoby Brissett was out. And then probably the second most interesting one to me on this list is in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders. Interesting that, Dylan's not even in this mix.
I know.
Technically he is, but he's really not, which is just weird. So anyways, but those two, like, so what stands out? What's your? I'll start with you first, Tom. What's the one that's most intriguing to you?
Well, it's got to be, to me, the one that's most intriguing is the one that's going to that has all the attention right now, and that's the Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel. I don't think you can discount him, but obviously people are. I don't think, my heart of hearts is telling me that Shedeur Sanders is not your guy. I just don't see him being a professional quarterback. And I know that we've been told all these stories about what he's been doing in the offseason, and I just don't see it. I just, I see somebody who's a trustafarian, and life is just too good. And I don't think that's going to be the only controversy that's going to come or from the Shedeur sexuals who are going to claim that you make every excuse in the world of why he is the best of all time, and they're just riding the coattail. They're riding the coattails of his dad's popularity.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Is a tough one too, especially if you're trying to take the approach of like, I want the character guy to win. You're like, okay, well, Deshaun and Shedeur, like both of them have some significant concerns. Either you got the massage therapist allegations or you got Shedeur just being Shedeur. It's hard. There's no one that you like. Who I want to win that quarterback competition is not on this graphic. It's Dylan Gabriel. Great guy, drives a minivan, team player, good football player, smart. Like that would be my choice as an organization. I don't think it's going to go that way, but that's where I land on it. Which one's most interesting to you? And then I got a couple more questions.
I like the dynamic in Las Vegas with Cousins and Mendoza, just because I think it could turn into one of those things where Mendoza backs up Cousins for a couple weeks, and then maybe the roles reverse and Mendoza is able to take those reins. I think that would be cool to see in his rookie year. But the other one for me would be Arizona. One, because Carson Beck, the local guy, but also Gardner Minshew, former Jaguar. So kind of just cool to see those two guys kind of battle it out against Jacoby Brissett. But I don't like you guys. I don't have none of these are my teams. I don't have I want it to be one versus the other.
I think that if you're Las Vegas, and I think this is the prevailing logic, I think there's no, especially since Clint Kubiak's the OC, Kirk's a steady veteran. Is he exciting? No.
Right.
But is he good? Yes. Is he a good system guy? Yes. I think absolutely he wins that. It's a matter of, the pressure when you have a number one overall drafted quarterback and someone who's a great kid. Fernando's a great kid. Literally, those two are the same people. Like, it's like they're both on the spectrum, both good players, and we probably all are. But as soon as things start to dip, the calls are going to get really loud. I think the bigger challenge is not who do you start week one. I think you start Kirk. The challenge is how far can we push off, caving to the demands and the pressure to get Fernando out there. Like, don't rush him into a shitty situation. Put him in a good situation. I don't know. We'll see. That one's going to be interesting. I think the most contested one is probably that Vikings one. I think Cleveland is on the heels. I think they're really close. I think Tua probably is in the driver's seat in the other. Penix coming off an injury.
I would probably say that, yeah.
But if I'm a Falcons fan, which I'm not, your dome is dark. Your old dome was dark. You built a new beautiful dome. The new dome is dark. I don't know why I don't know. That's whatever. That's to each his own. I just am not thrilled with the options there. Neither are exciting for me. It's not to say that Michael Penix can't be great over the long haul. Near term, I feel like the Arizona Cardinals are going to suck this year. That's pretty much inevitable. They do have Jeremiah Love, who's in beast mode at running back, and they've got Harrison Jr. at receiver. They've got some pieces, Trey McBride, but I think that the Browns Vikings definitely take the cake for being the most interesting. Meaning no one exactly knows what's going to happen. A lot of people think Kyler Murray's and I think he is in the driver's seat. But I tell you what, again, reminder, JJ knows the system. JJ knows KOC. JJ knows how they do things there. JJ does work his ass off. You can like him, dislike him. I think it's 60-40 Kyler, but I don't think it's 80-20 Kyler.
Is that who you want to see week 1 for Minnesota?
I want to see whoever helps my team win on Sunday so I drink less. That's what I want.
It's a very good answer.
Yeah. I want to jump in the pool naked to celebrate victory like I like to do. And whoever gets me there, the neighbors probably will take a different approach. They probably want the opposite person.
Yeah.
But that's...
I guess I won't come over for game days, I guess.
You don't want to. You don't want to. Okay. Well, good deal. Well, we will get into a lot more stuff on Thursday. Hopefully Nate will be back. I think he will be. It should be a fun little way to cap the week. I know I keep...
Nate's on assignment in San Francisco doing a little leg work for me.
Is he? I love it. Hopefully he doesn't don't step on needles, Nate.
Well, outside of San Francisco, filing some FOIA requests, going over some medical records.
Okay.
Checking out just sort of any kind of unusual anomalies within the atmosphere outside of 49ers practice facility when it comes to electromagnetic pulses.
Okay, perfect. Can't wait to see that report. That's going to be fun.
Accident reconstruction,
By the way, Chaos mentioned way earlier in the show, I meant to say it, she wants to look inside your jewelry box in your closet. She loves your vest. Everyone loves your vest. It's a great little...
Well, thank you very much, Chaos.
Yeah. All right, folks, hit that like button on the way out. So glad you were here. Got some interesting news and stuff coming up as it pertains to the show and a couple other things that are coming. I know I keep kind of teasing that, but we're getting closer and closer. Had a good positive test today that gets us there. So you don't know about it, but we'll tell you about it. So have a great one. Bring someone with you on Thursday. We'll see you then, 3 p.m. Eastern. Be safe. Be smart. Be free.
We got balls and banter.